I'll. How much time do we have? So that I can maybe just keep track of time.
15 minutes.
All right. So I'll try to finish because I think we have a hard stop because of Juma prayers also. So I will try to be covering as many slides as possible. So thank you very much for inviting us. My name is Naveed Arshad. I am, quite a lot interested in EVs and been working both at the level of policy, technology, and entrepreneurship. But today, mostly, I will be looking at some of the, you can say, global landscape of battery swapping in different types of vehicles, as well as we'll look at some of the challenges that globally the companies are facing. So actually, the swappable battery-based system is not a new thing. It is actually dates back to 1896 when the idea was first introduced. And in between 1910 and 1924, there was a Hartford Electric and GV company which that actually provided battery swapping services. And at that time, it covered 6 million miles, which was quite commendable because there were very few vehicles at that time. Then they also introduced, another company introduced a Chicago version of it, the swappable battery, but because of the fossil fuel rates and Ford, I think, engines, it actually then went down. And then, of course, there were many other swappable system that came. One which was quite popular was at the Beijing Olympics. And those were systems that we saw in 2010s, in 2000s. Well, in the last 15 years, there were two companies that tried to do it in passenger vehicles, two notable companies. One was a Better Place company from Israel and Denmark, and other was Tesla. But unfortunately, these companies also wrapped up their efforts in swappable battery-based system. The company that actually made swappable battery work was the company that's Gogoro from Taiwan. And that's a company that actually made sure that it's applied in the right market for the right set of, with the right business model and also with the right pricing. And now they have probably one of the largest swapping station network for two-wheelers across many countries. And Gogoro is now expanding into South America and Korea and other countries as well. In four-wheelers, NIO is one, you can say, notable automaker that is working with swappable batteries. They're in China. They're in, I think they have started in Europe also. But again, the challenge is that they have not expanded to a level where we can say that they're really truly taken over everything. In our neighboring country, India, Sun Mobility is one of the pioneering company in swappable batteries, and they have now 900 plus stations with 50,000 vehicles. They have partnered with the various oil companies, and now they are expanding into Africa. In Africa, actually, there are many swappable battery startups. I was in Kenya 2-3 months ago, and we went to two different companies. One is Rome Electric and other is Arkwright, and those are doing quite interesting work in swappable batteries, and they are expanding at a rapid rate. And there, the main use case is Boda Boda, which is, you can say, kind of a two-wheeler ride-sharing services, and they are quite popular. And most of their riders are the Boda Boda drivers that are going into these, and they have made some really interesting innovations. Time is short, but otherwise I would have talked about those innovations that they did. In Pakistan, we have Zip, we have Easy Bike, we have Jolta. Just to give a reference, I think they have talks later on, so I will not talk about it. We have in Vietnam, we have Celex Motors. They are also doing swapping for scooters. Similarly, in Thailand, we have a swappable battery system. In Latin America, Gogoro is pioneering, but there are other companies that are also going into Latin America. If you see all of this is mostly focused on two-wheelers and slightly on three-wheeler market. And the one notable exception to all this is the global north, which is Europe and America, but there are also companies that are working there. But before going there, there are companies like Zembo, Ampersand, Spyro, that are working in Rwanda, in Benin, Togo. So all those sub-Saharan African countries are now going to electric because this is what they are. You can say that it saves fuel, but also it provides a cleaner option for them. And one thing which is quite remarkable, which we have found recently, is swappable batteries in trucking. And this is company, Janus Electric, is from Australia. And they are retrofitting the large Australian trucks that actually go into the outback. And I mean, they typically cover a lot of distance. I mean, it was a quite interesting thing to find out that filling the fuel tank of one of these trucks takes about half an hour. So they have replaced this with the swappable battery, and this one battery is about 620 kilowatt hour of battery, and they are saving not only in fuel but also saving time in terms of the ridership. I mean, because the swappable battery can take just 5 minutes for swapping. Of course, they are using these forklifters and other, you can say, robotics that they're doing it. But this is the first successful model of swappable battery in trucking, which is quite interesting because large distance trucking, long distance trucking, is considered to be a hard to abate sector. So by using swappable batteries in trucking, this has actually really opened up many doors, because this can now open up, you can say, because a lot of diesel emissions are coming from trucking, and trucking is something which is everywhere. Anything from my computer to my mobile to my couch is done by trucking. And those trucking is now can be converted into swappable battery-based models. So this Janus Electric is converting existing Australian trucks to swappable battery-based. Similarly, in India, they are looking at swappable battery-based buses. So again, with some mobility and Ashok Leyland, and there's a Veera Vahana company which is now looking at transforming their bus sector to swappable battery-based electric. This is again quite a, you can say, long ask, because the fast charging for buses is quite common now, and there are lots of buses, as you see these buses in Pakistan as well. But swappable battery-based buses provides a lot of other interesting use cases which can be demonstrated. And if it can be done in trucks, it can be also demonstrated in buses. So in Japan, Honda, Yamaha, and there are a couple of other bike manufacturers are now looking at standardizing the two-wheeler batteries, which have not done yet. In France, they are looking at swapping for two-wheelers. And in the US, there is a very interesting company that is converting existing vehicles, existing fossil fuel-based vehicles, to modular swappable battery-based companies and model battery-based vehicles. And but of course, like Asia and Africa probably are driving the swappable battery-based revolution, at least in the 2-3-wheelers. Now, this is just some history and the current global landscape, but now it comes to some challenges and their possible solutions. The first challenge of swappable battery-based system is the standardization part. And it is quite a difficult ask, because all of these standards are proprietary and they are quite different in nature. The size of the batteries, the voltages level, the connectors, the communication protocols are all different. Sometimes they use CAN, sometimes they use the RS protocol, sometimes they have their own protocols, sometimes they do something else. So it's very difficult to standardize. And I have no idea of how to standardize it. I mean, we can have, let's say, let NEECA or NEPRA start thinking about standardization of the batteries, but this field is moving so quickly that standardization is very difficult. They are trying to do it in Japan, they're trying to do it in other countries, but there are many other challenges that remain there in standardization. Until that point, we have some standardization. This remains a proprietary stuff. There are some middle grounds that we can do, but of course, there's not time to look at them. In China, there is a lot of effort in standardization, but nowhere in the world we can see that standardization has actually taken place in swappable batteries. Second one is the very high capital and infrastructure cost, because if you, let's say, provide a battery as a service, the capex is very high. And when the capex is very high, investors these days are looking at lean startups, which are not very asset heavy. And those startups are typically gets the bulk of funding, not just in Pakistan, but in other countries as well. And institutional investment is not yet there in these kind of startups, because they are not yet proven their profitability and proven their mettle yet. But I think this is something that's time will drive the capital to this area. And I think some new business models can also help to pass this barrier. Um, then the complexity of the business model. A very simple question: who owns the battery, or who owns the swapping station, or who owns the vehicle? All these questions needs to be provided. And then battery is a like a commodity. It can weather. It can its cycles go down. It has a wear and tear, and there's always a tussle between the person who's getting the battery and who's providing the battery, that whether I'm getting a good battery or not. So all those business ownership complexities are there. Technology can save us. Technology can solve these problems, and there could be other solutions as well. But this complexity is actually where the government cannot do much in it. Unfortunately, the government is likes very simple business model. These recent PAVE schemes are giving a vehicle with a subsidy. When it comes to swappable battery based, the scheme has to be very complicated, because it is not just simple selling of the vehicle. It's the whole ecosystem that needs to be subsidized, and in my experience, it is very difficult for the government to learn and execute it and then be accountable for it. Operational and grid barriers are there. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, I'll say very bluntly that the grid is not interested in selling the electricity. Um, I mean, wherever you go, I mean, if there's a buyer, you actually welcome that buyer, but here the buyer is not welcome at all. In fact, the buyer is considered to be an overhead. So that's why we are not getting a lot of help from the grid operators, the distribution companies, even the private ones, unfortunately. And that's why we have not been able to do a lot of, you can say, very proactive things like frequency regulations or battery as a storage for the grid, V2G kind of interesting aspects, because the grid is not even at that level. It is very, very at the fundamental level, having solving problems that are probably problems of the last century. Technology and market risk are also there, because now the competition is between ultra fast chargers, although the battery technology and the pricing is not there yet. And then interoperability and other tech. And then the batteries are also evolving at a very fast rate. Lithium-ion batteries are here, but there will be solid-state batteries. There are new chemistries that are coming up. What happens to the old batteries? How can we make sure that it is when you shift from one battery to the other, it is not something that the user has to worry about. So I think those challenges are also coming up. Battery life cycle and recycling is a challenge, but it's also a great opportunity to use these batteries in second life use cases like the stationary storage. Of course, it requires continuous monitoring of the battery, making sure that the cycles are well counted well. The European Union is suggesting digital battery passports for batteries, and seeing that how much the battery have actually aged, so through the SOH. And similar thing can be used here, that when the battery is not usable in the mobility field, it can be used elsewhere. And again, lots of repurposing can happen, and recycling also is now a solved problem in batteries, which is quite a lot of people are worried about. But 95% of the batteries can be recycled now, and many mining companies are now investing in it. Again, it's the paradigm shift. Would I like to buy a vehicle without the battery and getting the battery on a subscription service? I don't know whether the company will be in business 2 years after or not. I don't know whether the companies will be able to provide me with that service. Whenever I need a battery, do the company will provide me? Do they allow me to charge at home? In some cases, some companies allow, some companies don't allow. Again, the total cost of ownership kind of a concept is quite missing in public. They're looking at mostly the upfront cost. So I think there are lots of user acceptance and awareness that needs to go into it, and probably it will take time for people to understand that yes, this is something which they can rely upon, and it's a dependable solution for them. Regulatory and policy gaps is also there. Again, as I said, I mean, I was part of the team that developed the last two EV policies, and it is quite a difficult thing for us to incorporate the swappable battery model into the policy because of the complexities that are involved with it. Because you're not worried about just the vehicle, worried about the batteries, we're worried about the whole ecosystem of charging and swapping. And for the government, it's a very difficult thing to understand, and that's why you see very slim references of them in the policy. Supply chain, again, constraints are there, but I think we all know about them. And again, since it's swappable, you have to sometimes have large inventories of batteries. Uh, Again, another challenge is interoperability across regions and interoperability across swapping networks, because if propriety, of course, no company would like to share their proprietary information. And finally, this is my last slide about the data security and digital integration. These are some things which I mean, of course, we need to see that there is enough cybersecurity that nobody changes the details in the batteries and others, although it is quite encrypted and quite safe, but still those challenges, although are not right now, but when they will go more mainstream, these challenges will come up later on. So I'll stop here. My 15, in fact, I've gone over 16 minutes, so I'll stop here. And if there are any other things you'd like to discuss, I'll be around. Thank you.
Um, Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights. I have a question. What do you think, how feasible is the use of battery swapping stations as a battery to load or V2G solution during peak hours in Pakistan's current grid setup? And we also know that Pakistan's current grid is not that much up to date or that much strong. So, what do you
Yeah.
think?
Technically, it is not an issue, but unfortunately, our grid operators are not there yet. I mean, they are not looking at this as a solution. Um, but if there is a change of thought at the grid level, probably this can be a great asset for them because it can actually help them to balance out the peak loads, help them balance out frequency regulation and other ancillary services as well. Currently, as we see it, the grid is not very interested in electric vehicles, unfortunately. Yes, there is a good policy by NEECA, there is Ministry of Industries is working on it, there's a new tariff by NEPRA. But when we look at the actual procedures and look at the actual distribution companies, people are not really interested in EVs. They're not interested in supporting swappable batteries. So that's why we are not getting any help from them. So it's all the efforts are being done by the startups themselves. People are trying to do work on their own. And this is when this will change, of course, we can have a very great use cases for V2G and other ancillary services.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable insights.
Thank
Now,
you.
I would like to invite Ms. Saliha Qureshi, Energy Policy Analyst at the Sustainable Development Policy Institute. Ms. Saliha leads Pakistan's industrial decarbonization program with over 8 years of experience in climate and energy policy research. She's also the author of STPI's report Mapping the Electric Vehicle Ecosystem in Pakistan, which highlights the role of battery swapping and other emerging technologies in advancing EV adoption. We are glad to have you, ma'am. Over to you. Ms. Salia, are you available?
Hi, Marosh, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, Marosh, for the great opportunity. And actually, Dr. Naveed has covered most of the points. And I'll be looking at from the policy perspective how we can, better adapt and better make a holistic ecosystem for the battery swapping system. As we have a ground set, especially when we have a national, energy vehicle policy 2025, and also we also have NECA charging infrastructure guidelines. So these are the things that has set a ground for Pakistan, especially for the better adopt EV adoption in especially when we are dominating with the 2 and 3 wheelers, mostly in the provinces, especially for the Punjab. That these are the things that can provide us with the international commitments. We have like the NDC's commitments, the net zero commitments. So right now, I would better be looking on the policy side and also on the financial mechanism, that how it would be more scalable and more adoptable in the case of Pakistan. Uh, are you okay? So for the what is battery swapping system? So it's a okay. It's a swapping system that drives quickly exchange the depleted batteries for a fully charged ones, and it is very feasible in the case of Pakistan, that it utilizes a very minimum time, and also it is very cost effective as well. Also, battery swapping allows drivers to replace depleted batteries within minutes. So I think this is the case that can be better adaptable in the case of Pakistan, and also it could be scalable in that context as well. So globally, when we see that there are two type of models that have been used so far for the adoption of the swapping system. So first one is the subscription model, and second one is the pay-per-use model. In the subscription model, we can see that the customers uses or swap the depleted batteries for the fully charged ones for the monthly subscription based. It's a monthly subscription fee. While on the pay-per-use model, the customers pay only when to swap a battery, similar to the case that usually right now in Pakistan, when you're going to the fuel station and you're paying for one time a charge or fueling of your vehicles. So subscription model globally has seen a significant, rise and significant impact, but it's mostly in the developed worlds. So we have to see that what type of economic constraints, or what type of, the consumers and customers demands are. So that's how the subscription model or pay-per-use model would be adopted. Battery swapping globally has rise in 2019 with $118.4 million worth, and it's has been seen significantly in the North America and Europe with 45% of rise. And the major, the driver behind this was the subscription model, which is the monthly based, subscription fee model. And this battery swapping system has been seen in several researchers and several reports that it will be increasing exponentially by 2027 by 409 million USD dollars. So it's basically the major chunk is from the subscription model that the globally countries have adopted. When we look in the Pakistani side, we do have a National Energy Vehicle Policy 2025, which has set the target that 30% of new vehicles will be sold by 2030. So we do have that target. We do have that, in our government's mandate as well, and also to achieve the net zero and global commitments. So that would be a great set for Pakistan as well. We do have NEECA charging infrastructure guidelines as well. So the basic part is that we do have everything, but how we can implement this and how we can scalable for this in the context of Pakistan. The new energy vehicle policy has also mandated that they have, from the 2025 onwards, they have a whole journey to scale the EV adoption. So for 2026, the government has mandated that they will be introduce some low cost consumer based businesses or subsidies, and from 2027 they will scale the pilot programs from battery to grid type of technologies, and from 2030 onward they will achieve the major milestones for a charging infrastructure for 2 3 wheelers as well. So this is a long journey, and hopefully that would be achievable through the proper implementation and through the proper ecosystem that the EV infrastructure has needed. Um, this is the Pakistan battery swapping snapshot right now. We do have NEECA charging infrastructure guidelines. We have the NEPRA tariff. So that's the basic thing that made the thing, adaptable and made the ecosystem of the EVs more convenient for the consumer, for the investors as well. So this is a positive, push for the whole ecosystem, that we do have these such type of interventions from the government as well. Also, there is a challenge that how we can, scale these things. Especially, we have the resilience sustainability facility by the IMF. So they do have a reform year 10 and 11, in which they have mentioned that they will be scaling up or supporting the EV infrastructure in Pakistan. So that is the facility that could be, taken for the EV ecosystem scalability. Um, Also, some of the challenges that right now we can see in the case of Pakistan, we are mostly, in Punjab especially, 9 million of fleet is two-wheelers and three-wheelers. So this is the area where, the battery swapping system could be workable. And also, because the major agenda behind the EV policy was that we are reducing the rising fuel demands, and also the air pollution that the Lahore and the Punjab area would have in coming months. So that's the area, or that's the way that we can, put our some interventions, especially to combat the smog, and also for that. So it's a very, convenient case for Pakistan, that for especially for the two-wheelers or for the Punjab, that these battery swapping system could be placed, or could be make a mechanism for the investors, that this is the area that they need to invest, and that this is the area where, the customers will be willing to take that advantage as well. Pakistan's EV challenges, if we look at that, I already mentioned that we have two three-wheelers, mostly chunk in Punjab. So it's a feasibility for the daily commutes, but the high uptime would be a challenge if you charge a EV bike. So the battery swapping system would be helpful in minimizing the time, and also it will be economical feasible for the middle income groups as well. I already mentioned that we do have a resilience sustainability facility by the IMF, in which Reform Year 10 and 11 have mentioned that that could be used to use the conditionalities to associated with the fiscal space to create concessional financing window for EV infrastructure, especially for the battery pools and stations. And also the Reform Year 11 has mentioned that they will the scalable the green finance and disclosure agreements for the EV infrastructure. So these are the two things that could be, taken into account when we are looking for the battery swapping system scalability, or EV adoption scalability in Pakistan. When we are looking at the Pakistan side, that what are the challenges for so far, which is already mentioned by the Dr. Naveed as well. So we don't have national standard right now, and also with a large battery inventory working is a significant thing that could be taken up as well. The land and real estate constraints are there. The grid constraints and tariff structure is also very not sustainable. And also the consumer trust and payment models should be a government mandate, or there must be a proper mandate or mechanism that how consumers can use that models, whether it's a subscription model or the other model. And there must be a huge chunk for the swapping system. We do have a very insufficient swapping network in Pakistan. So, and that's why these hurdles or the bottlenecks have created a gloomy picture for the investors, that how they can um, uh, uh, they take this opportunity to invest in such type of interventions in Pakistan. So that's how it would impact the slow EV adoption in transition or adoption in Pakistan. Um, there's a when I have talked about the RSF, so it should be taken into account that it's not a direct grant funding for swapping. It's a reform and de-risking vehicle. So we could use it. Pakistan can use it for the concessional window and regulatory certainty, so private capital can flow in. Globally, as Dr. Naveen has also mentioned, but there are some examples from the Taiwan, India, and China. So they do have very best examples for the battery swapping system and battery swapping scalability. So what they have done, they have integrated the smart technology, smart batteries. And also they have integrated the IoT in their system, so that the whole ecosystem would work better. Their payment model mostly was on the subscription basis. So that's the win-win situation for them. Their businesses models was easy to adopt, especially for the investors, and also there was a significant example that they have so many swapping stations. So that's how what's the issue in Pakistan is the range anxiety. That range anxiety would be covered, or would be addressed in that way. So these are the globally best examples that have so far adapted the battery swapping system. So we can look into these such best practices and learn from them, and then adopt the things that could be better, placed in the context of Pakistan. The key success factors for the global models, what we have learned is the standardization of batteries and connectors, and also the partnership with original equipment manufacturers and fleet operators is a crucial role in ensuring consistent supply of vehicles and battery, and also in the scalable infrastructure through joint investments. So that's the one thing that Pakistan needs. And also the fleet integration, working closely with the commercial fleets, ride hailing services, especially in Pakistan, logistics, delivery fleets, that could enable a steady demand for battery swapping, which is a key for maintaining high uptime and network utilization. What's the learning for Pakistan from all these best examples? Battery and connector standardization is the must thing that needs right now in Pakistan. We should develop the national standards for battery sizes, connectors, and communication protocols. This thing will help us in interoperability between the different vehicle models, swapping stations, and battery providers. Also, the original equipment manufacturers fleet partnership should be scalable. Pakistan should partner with such type of operators, and that would help in the consistent supply of electric two and three wheelers, as well as establish a robust network for swapping stations for the mass adoption in Pakistan. And finally, renewable energy integrating renewable energy sources like solar power batteries, swapping stations could help the lower cost, support grid stability, and contribute to Pakistan's sustainability goals, which we have for the reducing the environmental impact of EV infrastructure. Finally, I would say that what would be the recommendation right now for Pakistan to better adapt the swapping model? Hybrid plus BAS model would be a consumer friendly and a model for the ride hailing rickshaws and two-wheelers in Pakistan. It's better fit for Pakistan, especially when we are talking about the affordability, when we are talking about the individual consumer concerns, upfront cost. This could be a thing that could make a wider adoption for this. That would also make the rapid expansion, and also addressing the range anxiety of the consumer as well. For the investor, we need low risk and high returns by targeting commercial fleets, especially investors from high vehicle turnout or consistent demand, leading to ROI. Fleet hubs offer stable long-term revenue streams for high-frequency battery swaps. For the investors, that could be, a hybrid approach to enable scalable infrastructure, and also they can start the localized hubs and expand the demand as increases by the supply chain things. And also there is a public-private synergy that could make the EV ecosystem more consumer and investor friendly in that context. We need fast track pilot projects, especially in the area where we have high chunk of 2 and 3 wheelers. The land use issue should be, addressed in that context, and also the reduction on the import duties of batteries. Initial setup cost should be, make a feasible case for Pakistan. Also, we need a local manufacturing support so that in the long run, we reduce reliance on import and also encourage the domestic battery ecosystem. That's the win-win situation for Pakistan if that could be happen. National standards must be battery standards must be established, and financial investment and incentives for the investors should be feasible and should be an enabling environment for them to invest in Pakistan. So that these are the things that could be recommended for in the case of Pakistan. So, but finally, I would say that what's the need or call to action for Pakistan? We need to launch pilot to scale programs like I have already mentioned in the major cities, especially where we have 2 3 wheelers fleet, high fleet Karachi and Lahore. Test especially feasibility in urban and rural contexts, create a roadmap for rapid national expansion with timelines that should be there. Foster the research and development and innovation, also investment and financial mobilization through public-private partnerships and green financing, and also there must be a mechanism that how to attract a local and international investors with tax reliefs and subsidies loans, and establish a long-term vision. We do have a, finally I would say, EV policy, but we don't have a retirement plan for the ICE vehicles. So that's the thing that I think we need to work on. And if we do have that retirement plan for the IC vehicles, I think then after that we can work on these things. That if it's a major scalability on the EV adoption, major ecosystem change of EV, especially for the investors, consumers. So these are the things I think that are significant and needed for in the case of Pakistan. Yes, thank you so much.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to ask, what do you see as the main regulatory gap that is slowing down the adoption of battery swapping technology in Pakistan? Um, I think he has left.
Yes,
So,
yes, Marush. Yes, I already mentioned that regulatory gaps. We do have a energy vehicle policy, which includes the battery swapping system as part of its roadmaps. NECA regulations are there. Customs and taxation incentives are there. But despite all these things, we can see that there is not a standardization. That is a missing part. I think if we do have a battery standardization system, so that could be addressed. And also, the major thing when we are looking into the policies is that we do have so many policies, but we don't have enforcement or oversight capacity that how we can scale it up. So these are the, I think, the major things that needs to be addressed, especially the standardization and enforcement. And apart from that, there are also, we need a clarity on the on the different, you know, ministries working, especially when we are talking about if the discos, how they will regulate the things, how the NECA will mandate the things, how the licensing and all the things would be addressed. It's a problem for the entrepreneurs. They may face, the delays for the unexpected cost and legal ambiguities there for setting up the swapping stations. And high electricity cost is also a major issue for the adoption of EV. So these are the things that needs to be, addressed on the priority basis for the major scalability of the battery swapping system in Pakistan. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable insights. Now I would like
Thank
to
you.
invite Mr. Light, co-founder and head of product and go-to-market at Zip Technologies. Sir, are you available?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We are glad to have you with us. Please continue. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So first of all, Varosh, I want to thank you for putting this this webinar together. Battery swapping, even though we believe it is the most promising and really the only way to reliably and at scale move Pakistan's two-wheeler and three-wheeler vehicle fleets over to electric. Despite that, it doesn't get a lot of attention from the government. So this is great to see. Thank you for doing this. And I want to appreciate the speakers before who covered a lot of very valuable points. Dr. Naveed Arshad gave us a very good landscape view of what battery swapping in the world looks like. And then thank you, Salia, for your valuable contribution as well. I want to talk briefly about, from a business perspective, what does the opportunity look like for us? So overall, if putting some numbers to the information that Dr. Naveed shared globally, I would say that when it comes to two and three wheelers, battery swapping is taking over. It is from a market growth perspective, it is expected to grow about 30%, when you look at it from a compound annual growth rate perspective over the next 10 years, growing to a global size of something like 23 to 25 billion dollars in market value. And this growth is internationally all over the world is being driven primarily by startups like Zip Technologies, EasyBike, and others. I would say about $2.5 to $3.5 billion of VC and various other funding has gone into startups, most of which are based in developing countries like Pakistan. As Dr. Arshad mentioned, these companies are in China, in Taiwan, in Indonesia, and other Far Eastern countries, as well as in Africa, like Kenya, Ghana, as well as in now South America and in Brazil. So the reason why startups do well in this space is because this space is all about creating solutions for the countries in which we're operating. And startups are uniquely able to do that because they, by their sort of very nature, want to understand the problems that people have and create solutions that are reliable and effective for the needs of their customers. So if we look at our neighborhood, so India started down the journey of electrification of their vehicle fleets before us. And we are following the same journey, I would say, as India is, but we are a few years behind them. So I would say we are roughly about 3 to 4 years behind where India is today. Today, about 63% of their three-wheelers that were registered, let's say back in December, 63% of those were EVs. This is the three-wheelers. And about 6% of the two-wheelers were also EVs. So they are, clearly focusing on the three-wheeler market first, but then the two-wheeler market is coming along as well. And interestingly, the three-wheelers in India are rapidly adopting through companies like Sun Mobility and Battery Smart, the battery swapping model. And so we believe Pakistan is along the same journey. And so what we are at Zip, we are uh, a vertically integrated battery as a service model. So let me know if you can see my screen. And what that means is that we are not only are we a vehicle OEM, so we are building motorcycles from the ground up, serving the needs of the people of Pakistan because of our deep understanding of what those needs are. We know that when you step away from the nice main roads of Lahore and Islamabad, the back roads all are in a pretty bad shape. And when you have a 12-inch uh, wheel traveling on a road that has 6-inch potholes, things aren't going to work very well. So we build motorcycles that are along the traditional sizes of motorcycles that have been working in Pakistan for the last 50 years. And we're also an energy OEM. We're building from the ground up the batteries and the battery swapping stations that our motorcycles utilize. And we're connecting all of these things are smart, so that we connect these services through the Zip Cloud infrastructure, through which we offer value-added services to our customers, both to our fleet customers as well as our individual customers, in the form of analytics and insights, theft detection, fall detection, rider scorecarding. There's a number of features that we offer that our customers really value. And if I say, if I was to talk about from a business's perspective, what are the benefits that battery swapping provides? There's a number of them. Any business where that is able to establish an alignment of interests between the different parties that are involved, that business is going to be successful. And so battery swapping is that model where the customer's interests, the government's interests, the public interest, and the business interest can come together in a very meaningful way. And that is why we believe this is the way forward for Pakistan, and the evidence so far internationally proves it. So when it comes to customers, we've heard about some of the benefits. I'm just going to list them out one more time. I would argue there are about 7 important benefits. In addition to the fact that there is no range anxiety with battery swapping. A customer can swap the battery and keep operating their electric vehicle. As well as there is no battery quality stress. A customer doesn't have to worry about, a rider doesn't have to worry about the quality of the battery that they have. Because the battery belongs to the battery subscription provider. Those benefits we've already talked about. But what those benefits translate to is a vehicle that costs much less than what it would cost if a battery was included with it. And so adoption becomes, from the buyer's standpoint, becomes a lot easier. And at the same time, the model still delivers reliable savings compared to petrol. So in our model, we commit to our customers that will give you somewhere between 30 to 50% operating savings, cost savings compared to petrol. And now we have enough customer install base or a rider base that these numbers have been proven out multiple times. But in addition to these benefits, I want to call out 3 more very important benefits. The first one is that if you think about a fixed battery electric vehicle, the thing that degrades the most in that electric vehicle is its battery. So as the battery degrades, the value of the vehicle goes down. So for example, if the manufacturer gives you a warranty of 2 years, and you are an owner of a vehicle from that manufacturer, as you get to the 2-year mark, your motorcycles or your vehicle's value will drop substantially because it no longer has the battery warranty and the battery can fail anytime. And the battery is the most expensive single component in the vehicle. But when you have a swappable battery vehicle that does not include the battery, now there is really nothing that's going to depreciate. The battery, as Zip does, Zip gives a lifetime warranty on the battery. You never have to worry about the ownership of the battery, the quality of the battery. We commit to giving you a safe and reliable battery when you need it, and a charged battery when you need it through our swapping network. So with that model, your vehicle will not depreciate in value because there is really nothing left. There's no battery in there that's going to depreciate. The battery has a lifetime warranty attached to it. The second really important benefit is that the way what Zip offers is complete flexibility to our customers. We say you can charge your motorcycle at home. We give you a home charger, charge your motorcycle at home, and if every day you ride and your ride distance is something that is covered by your home charging, then you don't need to swap. But swapping is available to you for those days when you do need to have that additional range. So, for example, sometimes that is predictable, sometimes it's unpredictable. Sometimes you're coming home from work and you get a call from home that, hey, can you do these 2 or 3 additional things? And suddenly, now you don't have to worry about checking your range and saying, well, I need to stop somewhere and plug my battery charger in and charge my motorcycle for an hour before I can do those things. You simply look on your app, find the nearest battery swapping station, swap, and continue. And we just charge you for the energy that you utilize at that time. So because of this, because you can charge at home and you have the swapping option, you have that flexibility. However, what we are finding is that for a lot of our users, especially our low-income users, when they charge at home, their electricity consumption goes up. And as a result of that, their tariff tier can jump up. And when that tariff tier jumps up, all of their electricity consumption is charged at a higher rate. Well, with swapping, that is not a problem because when you swap, then you're getting that benefit, you're getting that range, but you are not seeing that jump in your home electricity tariff tier. And then finally, and this is perhaps from a long-term perspective, the best benefit is that any new technology, when it comes to batteries, when it is first introduced, it's very expensive. And in a country like Pakistan, where people's ability to pay or their buying power is very low, it takes a long time for that technology to be affordable for the average person. But in the battery swapping model, we have the ability and the interest to bring those latest technologies in sooner and extend their benefit both to our customers and to our own business as well. So those are a few benefits that I want to make sure are realized when it comes to the customers. From the grid perspective, we all understand that Pakistan is suffering from an oversupply or overcapacity when it comes to generation, and that's why we're all paying these higher tariffs because we have to pay for these capacity charges. So as electrification comes in on the vehicle side, that increases the demand for electricity, and so the capacity charges go away and the tariffs come down for everyone. But on the environmental side, in addition to the fact that electrification obviously is going to improve air quality, with battery swapping, we are responsible for making sure that the batteries, as they run out of their useful life, that they are properly disposed of, whether it is through a second life solution or through a recycling solution. And that's very different compared to an individual who buys a battery. So you can very well imagine that people who are buying these fixed battery motorcycles, when those batteries fail, those batteries are going to end up in some landfill, or they're going to end up in some river, in some stream, and they're going to be polluting the environment. if they're not properly disposed. And for a lot of people, my fear is that that is what will happen. But ZIP is responsible to ensure that our batteries, when they run out of their life, that they are properly disposed of, and don't end up becoming a burden on the environment. To do this, we have we have our own dashboards, operating dashboards, that are tracking every battery and how it has been utilized, how many cycles it has gone through, what its state of health is, what its expected remaining life is. And because we are closely tracking it, we're able to extract those batteries. We can repair them if repair is needed, or we can take them out of our network and properly dispose of them. So I want to switch here from here into just talk about two key points when it comes to key issues. As a business, I would say that there are two main areas, and they both have to do with different government departments, where if we can streamline operations, um, the entire electrification agenda can accelerate forward. The first is when it comes to the discos, as Dr. Naveed mentioned as well. The grid operators, which is the discos, have zero interest in providing any facility when it comes to electrification. And so if the government can find a way, because these are government owned in most cases, if the government has to find a way to get these operators to move faster and to remove the waste that comes in the form of speed money that is often demanded. And if the pace at which new substation deployments can be accelerated, because sometimes they need new meters with the new rate. For that rate to be available, new meters are required. That process is extremely cumbersome when it comes to the discos. And if that stays that way, it will be a serious hindrance for the continued electrification of our fleets. So that's number one. Discos have to be streamlined. And number two, the process of annual renewals from regulatory bodies like PSQCA and EDB, those processes severely need to be streamlined. Today, there are a lot of hurdles and bottlenecks that come in that process. There is lack of transparency about why certain things are taking a long time, and we would like those to be streamlined, because as they are streamlined, we can be better able to forecast our business. And that has a play on everything from when we import, how much we import, the raw materials or the components that we need, and how quickly we can deploy those components into the market. I'm just going to stop here, and I welcome any questions from the group.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Ali Moin Malik, Chief Executive Officer of EasyBike. Sir, are you available?
Assalamu alaikum. I can hear you. Merosh, thank you very much for setting this up. I'm going to try to keep this very short because Dr. Naveed and my friend Aik have covered most of the stuff already. Just let me know when you guys can see my screen, and I'll start. All right. I hope you can see my screen. So I'm going to start with the big picture and why I think Pakistan is one of the most important markets for electric mobility. So we know there's roughly 27 million motorcycles on the road today, and every year we're adding about 1.5 million more on the road. So at the same time, the last few years, we've seen a massive increase in fuel prices, where they've more than doubled, making mobility unaffordable for the average Pakistani. And at the same time, Pakistan has some of the worst air quality in the world. And you put all of this together, and this creates a $3 billion electrification opportunity just waiting to be unlocked. So if this opportunity is so big, why hasn't EV adoption really taken off? And I believe EV adoption is stuck because the problem isn't demand, it's lack of access. Riders just want cheaper options, and there's structural barriers to entry. We know the upfront cost of a reliable EV is too high. Like, was kind enough to go through, why it's important to have reliable bikes. For example, these small Chinese scooters with 10 or 20, 12-inch tires are not well suited for the Pakistani road infrastructure. They can't carry a family of four, which is what a bike is supposed to do in Pakistan. So when you go build a bike that meets the performance that's demanded by Pakistan's customers and can bear the payload and the road infrastructure, these vehicles become extremely expensive. So that's one issue. Secondly, there's lack of charging infrastructure, and when it is available, charging typically takes very long, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. Batteries, as you know, are very expensive. Riders worry about range and downtime. So as a result, people are just forced to stick with petrol even when it's far more expensive. And that's exactly where battery swapping comes in. It removes these barriers. I mean, you guys have already gone through this, so I'll just skip over it very, very quickly. But with battery swapping, riders don't need to buy the battery. And as a result, the upfront cost of owning a bike can fall by almost 40%. Then they can swap out depleted batteries in under a minute, like they do on our platform, so they don't lose any time waiting for their batteries to charge. And then finally, there's no stress about battery replacement costs. This is very, very important. It's an important decision criteria when you're buying an electric bike, because you know that if this battery is going to run out in a few years, there's obviously a replacement cost associated with that. And how viable is it? So this is something that deters people from moving to electric. But with battery swapping, since the network owns the batteries, customers don't have to worry about battery replacement. And obviously, when you take the battery out, as Lake mentioned as well, there's lower bike depreciation. And then so finally, I mean, Dr. Naveed touched upon this a little bit as well. Gig workers typically love this because there's no downtime, there's more working hours, there's higher earnings, and obviously no range anxiety. So that's what it means for riders, but let's look at what it means for Pakistan as a country. We all know electrification reduces oil imports. A large percentage of our oil is consumed within transportation. And then removing batteries from the equation can reduce the cost of owning a bike, in our case, by up to 70% compared to a petrol engine bike. So it's significantly cheaper. With lower downtime and lower cost, riders are more competitive. And finally, this is very important, swapping networks create jobs in manufacturing and operations and maintenance and software and so on within Pakistan, which is also very, very important. I'll give you an interesting anecdote here. Over the last couple of years, today actually marks our second year of deploying our first battery swap station. So over this period, our riders have completed a little over 2.6 million kilometers on electric bikes and saved approximately 40 to 50% on fuel. So that's money that stayed in their pockets instead of going into imported petrol. And that shift has happened because of battery swap. Had we not had battery swapping, these people would not have shifted over because it's just impossible for them to own a electric bike that meets the performance of, say, a Honda CD70. So to scale this model, though, we need a strong business structure that works both for riders and operators. So very quickly, I can go over a typical business model, which has two sides, I believe. There's the one-time revenue that you make from bike sales, and then there's recurring revenue from battery rentals and swap fees. So for riders, it feels like paying for fuel, but it's cheaper and faster. And for operators, it creates recurring revenue, which is predictable over time. And of course, no new model comes without challenges, and swapping in Pakistan has its own set of unique challenges. As everyone mentioned, there's a standardization of batteries, which is eventually going to become a challenge. There's, more importantly, the high upfront cost of building swap station networks and owning battery stock. And then there's the financing gap. Even affordable EVs are hard to buy for the average Pakistani, because financial institutes are happier lending to the government of Pakistan than they are to the average Pakistani. So in the absence of financing for the average Pakistani, electrification is going to be incredibly hard to crack. And then there's obvious policy gaps. The current NEV policy, which in my opinion is a replica of the policy that was made 5 years ago with one subsidy scheme and some discounted or subsidized rates for charging and battery swapping. Other than that, it's pretty much the same thing that we had 5 years ago. It disincentivizes local manufacturing through what I call an inverse tariff. So as a result, it is far more convenient to just import stuff from China and dump it in Pakistan than it is to build for Pakistan. This is a serious policy gap that we've tried to address with the government of Pakistan, but they've shown little to no interest. They understand the problem, but they, again, very short-term thinking. Let's get bikes on the road today, and kal ka masla kal dekha jayega. Which is very typical of Pakistan's bureaucracy. It's unfortunate, but that's the truth. Then there's power outages that we spoke about. There's grid instability adds to uncertainty. And then there's local Pakistani challenges. So since midnight last night, internet services in Islamabad and Pindi have been down. So basically our customers can't use our service because they can't pay us, which is done digitally. They can't use the swap stations. But those are inherent Pakistani challenges. वो होते रहते हैं. And despite these challenges, I believe battery swapping is still the fastest and most affordable way to scale EV in Pakistan. So very quickly, I'll just talk about some of the stuff that I covered already. It directly solves rider pain points. It can cut Pakistan's oil imports, clean up our air. But at the same time, it requires a lot of collaboration, particularly between startups, the governments, and financial institutions. Today, EasyBike has about, I want to say, 30 swap stations across Rawalpindi and Islamabad. Just imagine the same convenience in Karachi and Lahore and Peshawar, where swapping becomes, as common as refueling. That's the future we're trying to build here at EasyBike, because I honestly believe the future of mobility in Pakistan is electric, and battery swapping is key to unlocking that. Thank you again for your time. I'm happy to take any questions you guys may have.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights. And now I would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Saqib, GM Operations at Jolta Electric. Sir, are you available?
Yes, I am available. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you to Mirosh and NEECA. It's a pleasure to talk with industry leaders, especially in webinar on battery swapping technology, accelerating the EV revolution. I will try to explore with you one of the most promising innovation reshaping electric vehicle landscape. So the that's the promising battery swapping, a technology that allows EV user to replace a depleted battery with a fully charged in under 5 minutes. Unlike traditional plug-in charging, which can take anywhere from 30 minutes to several hours, battery swapping offers a fast, efficient, and scalable alternative. Mostly points already covered by other team members, but again, I would like to go through, like why battery swapping? Why we go to battery swapping? Swapping a battery is significantly faster than even the fastest DC charging, which typically takes 20 to 45 minutes. Battery longevity, controlled charging conditions at swap stations help extended battery life, reducing degradation. Convenience, no more waiting in line and charging point station, just swap and go. The biggest picture, battery swapping is not just about convenience, it's about democratizing EV adoption, especially in densely populated urban areas and developing regions. For fleet operators like tanks, taxis, delivery services, public transport, downtime is very low. Swapping enables continuous operation, making EVs more valuable for commercial use. Moreover, as we transition to cleaner energy future, battery swapping can play a pivotal role in reducing range anxiety, lowering upfront EV costs through battery leasing models, and supporting circular battery economies. The major challenges we are facing, of course, no innovation, no standardization, no innovation is without hurdles, standardization across manufacturer, infrastructure, investment, battery ownership models are key challenges. But with collaborative efforts between governments, OEMs, and energy providers, we can overcome these barriers. I can inform you, Jolta is planning to make a forum for all EV companies, owners, and representatives. Is planning to make a forum like PAPAM in ICE engine, combustion engine. We are planning, and we will invite all EV companies to participate, and we will make a soundful voice to government to make a plan, make a standards, and implement. like to Nadim Malik Saab, I think they have informed they are facing some issues in EDB, PSQCA. All companies are facing same issues. Additionally, battery swapping contributes positively to the longevity of EVs as batteries wear out swapping facilities, their removal, refurbishment, reuse, sparing owner from the cost and inconvenience of replacing Detroit technology. Electric vehicles, unlike internal combustion engine vehicles, suffer severe depreciation when battery efficiently decline, typically observed after 5 to 8 years of usage. By centralizing battery maintenance and refurbishment, business can extend battery life up to 50% compared to non-swappable battery system, aligning with principle of the circular economy and reducing long-term waste. Countries like China and India are already piloting large-scale battery swappable networks, startup and legacy automakers alike, investing in modular battery design and AI-powered swap station. The momentum is real and growing. I invite you all to think of battery swapping not just as a technical solution, but as a strategic enabler of sustainable, inclusive, and resilient mobility. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights. And thank you so much to all our esteemed speakers. This discussion has truly shed light on how battery swapping technology can reshape Pakistan's electric mobility landscape. On behalf of NEECA, I would like to thank all the participants who joined us today and actively took part in this important dialogue. Thank you once again, everyone, for being part of today's session. We look forward to your continued engagement in NEECA's future initiatives. Thank you and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.